Hey, Talking Shizzle listeners. You know, it's always been important for me to align our business with other companies and individuals who share our values, especially those who share a deep commitment to serving nonprofits and social impact. So for that reason, I'm super excited to announce our very first Season 2 sponsor, Kila. Kila is a fundraising and donor management CRM that is built specifically for nonprofits by nonprofit professionals. These folks really get it. Their mission is to empower nonprofits to deepen relationships, retain donors, and raise more for their cause. Several of our clients and partners use Kila and have continued to be impressed by just how easy Kila is to use, how affordable it is, and most importantly, the results they see using the platform. The Kila team is also phenomenal to work with. They are super friendly guys, and they have a continuous commitment to equity and inclusion. Now, go check them out. We got a special offer for you. As Season 2 sponsor of the Talking Shizzle podcast, Kila is offering our listeners and community 40% off their first year subscription to Kila. 40%, you guys. That is a lot of shizzle. Think about all the other shizzle you can get done by saving that money on your nonprofit CRM. Plus, if you have under 250 records, you can get access to the Kila Starter Program for free. So if you are interested in learning more and booking a demo, go to keela.co/partners/creative-shizzle. That is keela.co/partners/creative-shizzle. Hey, all you lovely people out there. You've got a lot going on in your day with big dreams and big goals for your world. Are you ready to talk some shizzle and learn some shizzle from leading entrepreneurs, changemakers, coaches, and overall interesting people who like to shake things up? I'm your host, Taylor Shanklin, CEO and founder of Creative Shizzle, and I am stoked to bring you a fresh episode of Talking Shizzle today. This show is all about helping you think differently so that you can grow. Talking Shizzle is brought to you by our team at Creative Shizzle, where we help businesses, entrepreneurs, and social good innovators make amazing marketing shizzle happen. Check us out on the web at creativeshizzle.com. Now, let's talk some shizzle. All right, welcome, friends. We're here for a new episode of Talking Shizzle with a good dear friend, Kishshana Palmer. What's up, Kish? How are you?
What's up? I am great. I am happy to be alive, so I'm happy to be here with you.
It's good to see you. Happy to have you here. We're going to get into your new business, what you're up to today, how to handle high achievers, how to manage ourselves as high achievers, and who knows, all sorts of other shizzle. But to kick it, all sorts of sizzle and shizzle and things that'll come up. To kick us off, give us a quick rundown for our audience on just a little bit about you and what you're about.
Absolutely. So I am a career fundraiser and chief executive in the nonprofit space turned leadership coach, and really excited about the work that I've been able to do. I'm the CEO of a management and leadership learning company, Kishshana Co. And over the last couple of years, the pandemic made us do some different things and reevaluate how we show up in the world. And one of the things that I realized is that everything that I do is about being in the business of relationships. And what does it look like to really focus in on relationships at work? And so I spend most of my time working with what I call everyday leaders, folks who are just minding their business, trying to do good in the world, on how to live healthier lives and how to have like the career that they really want and how to do that without flipping all the tables. And so that's what I do. And that's what my team does. And, now we're stepping into like what's next for what we call the Kishshanaverse.
I love it. Yeah, I'm looking at your new website. It looks really good. I help you lead the life you love, have the career you love. I'm reading your little scroller as it goes along. And be healthy AF. Nice. You know what's funny? I just remembered how we met. I was trying to think. We met in an elevator. Do you remember that?
This is a long time ago, though. Wow.
That's awesome.
Kishshana and I think we were at the Bridge conference.
Yes. Yes.
We were going up to some happy hour party, and we met in an elevator, and we immediately just like clicked and had this like great conversation. And like, it was probably just a 60-second elevator ride, but it felt like we achieved so much in that conversation.
5 stories. We went in the elevator, like absolutely. I remember that. And it's so funny. I'm like, I probably have the photos from that too. I'm looking at my phone because, I'm always taking a photo. Lean in so you can take a photo.
Yeah. I remember being like, I really know.
They don't call it an elevator pitch for nothing, huh?
For nothing, right. Which means, which just means you can form some relationships in an elevator, okay? I just want y'all to know. Turn it up, y'all. I know our fellow introverts in the house are like, what? No, thank you. I am the person in the back of the elevator in the corner looking at my phone, hoping that no one notices me.
All right, so how do you do it? How do you form a relationship in an elevator? What's your first step?
I mean, I think for me, that's a hilarious question. I think relationships to me are all about the speed of trust, right? And so first, you have to start with self-trust and have really sure footing in how you show up in the world and where you are in this season of life. And I think a lot of us have what I would call faux confidence, where we're not really that confident. We're more like a little bit more bravados, a little puff chest, but it's not really like deep-seated confidence and high self-esteem. And so that shows up in really funky ways. So if you want to build relationships, first, you have to really know and understand who you are and how you show up in the world. And then 2, be a really quick study of where people are, right? So we got on the elevator, you looked, I looked, and we're like, hello, you got to read the room. Sometimes folks are like, not today. And sometimes folks are like, oh my gosh, somebody saw me. And so being unafraid to basically say, I see you. And I think that's, to me, one of the like really like clutch things about building relationships and building it quickly is having the ability to see others and see where they are. And then be able to, when people say like, I want to meet you where you are, that to me is in action what it looks like. That I'm able to like read the nonverbal, understand the context, and then go, oh, okay, here's how I need to kind of modulate because I'm curious about this person. So I think that knowing yourself, understanding how to read the room. And then I think the last thing to me is about having just a curiosity about people. My mother would say I'm newsy, but I would say curious. And so being able to like think about like, what's going on over there, I think is another key component to being able to build relationships quickly.
All right, read the room. Let's get into that. You hear people say this, I say this, but like, how do you teach someone to read the room? Like, what are some things that you can do that can be included under that umbrella of reading the room?
I mean, so here's one of the things that I learned when I first started teaching Intro to Public Speaking at Baruch, where I'm a professor. And, it was such an interesting time because working with teenagers, particularly those young adults who are just crossing into college, they're in this like funky space between being told what to do and being like, you mean I get to tell me what to do? And so I had to really like focus on how do I get these young people to start to exercise agency in a way that's healthy? And then how do I get them to understand what's happening? So we did a lot with body posture, with understanding nonverbal communication, which I think, at least in the US education system, we really, skip jump over. And really being able to see like that person leaned in, they recoiled, they hesitated, their hands went up, like really being able to sort of forensically see what's happening around you. So that's read the room 1, body language, nonverbal communication. The second thing is, are you listening to understand or are you listening to jump in like you about to get in for double dutch? So if you're just trying to wait for the rope so you can get your turn, then the probability is quite high that you are not reading the room. And I'll give you a quick example. I was in a meeting a couple of weeks ago with a client and their leadership team, and we were playing Beyonce's Renaissance, right? And so, You Won't Break My Soul is on everybody's gym bump, but if somebody drops in the chat to quit your job, because it's one of her things like, I don't need this job, I don't need this. And I was like, no, it's release your job. Sorry. Because it's like, release your soul, release your, and I was like, on the PM, maybe this is not the time. Because in that conversation, what were we going to be talking about? We were going to be talking about people being exited. So maybe bringing that up was not. So that particular team member did not read the room, so understanding the environment that you're walking into, the tenor of conversation, what is actually happening in the room, I think is really important. And so how I teach that is in literally having folks pay attention, both to nonverbal and really stretching themselves to listen for understanding, to pause and wait. Even if you interrupt someone, you can kind of take a step back and go, no, go ahead, and lock back in so that they can understand what environment they're in.
And what are some of the, taking that a step further, what are some nonverbal communication cues you help people tap into? Because I think that's another thing where, are there specific things you coach your clients to look for?
So I'm definitely a body language. I think that we are giving off tons of cues. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this, Tilla, when you give talks and give keynotes and stuff, that when we're speaking from a big stage, we don't always lock eyes on one person. We're actually quite good at scanning the crowd so that lots of people feel like we're looking at them, but we're really not always locked into one person. It'd be very uncomfortable. But when we're in smaller spaces, I find that we do the same thing. So we're really not locking in and actually looking at the people we're talking to. We're looking past them. We're talking to them, but our eyes are moving someplace else. So you're missing really valuable cues that folks are giving you about their energy level, things that they might be navigating that you don't know, you have words for, but you can tell something is not quite right in this piece, or if somebody needs your help, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the ways I like to do that is to really be like, you have to look at people. Like when you shake somebody's hand, you're not shaking and pass. When you ask somebody how they're doing, you have to actually stop and wait and respond. And also watch, because somebody can tell you they're fine, but if their shoulders are slumped in, their head droops a little bit, their eyes dim a little bit, they're not fine. And then you have to decide in that moment, do I care enough? Do I have space enough? Do I have capacity enough? Because, sometimes we just don't care. Let's be honest, all right? To dig in.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's funny. I've even noticed some people where they're looking at you, but it still doesn't feel like they're looking at you. Do you ever experience that? That's even something to watch out for. You're looking at me and I don't think you're listening at all.
Yep. Well, I'm the wrong person to do that to, because I am obnoxious and I'll be like, hey, hello, are you paying attention? Because don't let me waste my breath. I run out of words every day. And so, I got to do my vocal exercises every morning because I spend 10 hours a day talking. I don't need to waste words. So I am that person. I know everybody does not have that, either personality or that's not the way they approach things. But I have had that occasion where folks are sort of zoned out and I'm like, they not listening to nothing I have to say. So let me just go on and tip on out so that I can go to the next thing. I've done that before. Communication is a tricky thing, particularly I think that until something what you've seen with your clients and seen out in the world, coming out of the pandemic, I think the pandemic really triggered my mother calls it broughtupsy. So, your manners and the way we just had a little bit of a regression. And also, it's just it feels like a lot of first day of kindergarten and being the shy kid who really wants to make friends, but doesn't really know how. So you sort of stand there with your blankie a little awkwardly crying for the exit. Lots of us have exhibited those types of behaviors now because we literally in 2 years or less forgot how to actually interact with others.
I absolutely agree. I have noticed it going to conferences since lockdown mode, kind of getting back out to conferences sometimes for the first time. People are cagier than they used to be. And these are people that I've known for a long time. Before conference pass would have been like, hey, what's up? And we're kind of, and you could just tell people kind of have forgotten how to talk, strike up that friendship in an elevator randomly.
And I'm not immune, right? So I consider myself.
Yeah, me either.
And yet I have found myself talking about the weather with people who I know very well. I was like, oh, we having a weather conversation in an inside convention center. I gotta go. Where is the alcohol? That's what I'm just like, what? Is this a microdosing state? What are we doing right now? Don't tell my mama, okay? Because she would be very upset. We just have shifted in the way that we're able to be social and to communicate. And so one of the reasons why I decided to have another avenue in my business and in my sort of company profile is that I realized that sure, I can take on big projects and be in organizations and work with executive leadership teams for a few months, a few days, a few years. But I was realizing that what we were lacking, particularly in my coaching clients, and then folks who came with VIP days, was the relationship stuff. So we're talking about your strengths and using, I'm a Clifton Strengths Coach. And so I'm doing your strength finder and you're like, can you do this with me and my partner? The number of like relationship strength sessions I've now run, that is not even a part of my business model. Cause they're like, we will just pay. Can we just come back and do this? Cause we need to really like, we're not communicating. I'm like, what y'all need is a therapist. I would just like y'all to know that a coach, that's me. I don't care how certified I am. And I'm very certified. I am not a therapist. I didn't go to anybody's institution of higher learning to learn all of the ways in which I can diagnose all the diagnoses. But I realized that people were really starting to struggle with the very thing that is the core of many of our businesses, and that is relationships.
So tell us something that you're most excited about with this new direction you're going in with your business.
Yeah, so I had to make a decision. I don't know if you've read the book Vivid Vision. So years ago, don't get me the line. Let me see if it's in my office. I'm looking right now, y'all, because I use things a lot and then I forget. I always forget who authors are, even though I remember the books. It's so dumb. It'll come back to me.
It's called Vivid Vision, you said?
Vivid Vision. Mm-hmm. So a few years ago, I read this book, Vivid Vision, where basically it talked about like really taking a step up and out. It was written by the guy who founded 1-800-JUNK. So the whole premise of the book is in order to be able to do things like scale, have longevity and sustainability in your company, inspire people to come to work for you, get out of the weeds of doing your work, that you actually have to set a future state and have a really clear mark out 3 years and work yourself backward from that mark. So one of the things I did, so I tried it. You're supposed to put your vision for your company on your website and all the things. I don't think I did that. I had it in my notebook, but I would look at it all the time. How did I want the halls of Kishshana Co to feel and look like? And so I'm at the end of my first year 3 and 3 year stint. And what's different is now I'm actually really ready to scale. And what's different is that one of the things that I set forth in my vision, that people who walk the digital and in-person halls of Kishshana Co will feel really excited to be here. And they will feel like they have creative space to grow and move. And they'll feel like they have space to rest. Those are things that I am both modeling and creating space for in my company. And so I had to stop thinking of myself as a solopreneur who happens to have great folks who work alongside me, and think of myself as a CEO. And what is it like to really scale an actual business? Like, is my business viable? Could I sell it? And one of the things that I had to take a risk on and take a bet on was myself. And so I know that a part of my brand is me. And so how do I leverage the best parts of myself and also build a sustainable business model that does not rely on me? And so it was one of the reasons why I decided to really step out and curate a clear separation in my personal brand. And then over the next several months, we will make a clear and clean break to my business brand. So I'll be relaunching my company in the next couple of months. And so that's exciting and scary, but it is because I have a 3-year, $10 million marker for my company. And in order for me to be able to do that, I have to be able to say what it is I'm planning to do and say from the mountaintops, and then invite in folks to be able to help me build that thing and do that thing well. And so that's what made me decide to look more critically at my personal brand as it related to my company and make that separation.
Yeah, that's interesting. It is kind of a tricky thing for people who are solopreneurs and trying to scale. What's something that you found along this process that's been helping you to figure out where's the delineation, but where do they need to continue to be very in sync?
Yep. I love that. I think one of the things that has been really critical for me in the last 12 months is being able to disassociate from the business. And what I mean by that is our businesses are our babies for many of us. And I've had to let go of the baby. I can't have that idea. I have to be able to see, is this scalable? Can I sell it? If something happened to me, could it run by itself? So really stepping away from it like a passion project, if you will, that happens to feed my family. And really what a viable business opportunity and that answers a particular question. And I'm able to employ folks who be able to answer those questions as well. So I think that was one of the things, really just shifting the way I saw myself and I saw the business. I think the second thing that allowed me to make that shift is surrounding myself by other business owners who are looking to scale. And so I'm in a small mastermind of women who are either right at the $1 million revenue mark or nearing it this year or more. And then I'm in another group of women who have hit that mark and are looking to make their next jump. And so you make different moves when you're at different revenue levels, and really being able to be around folks who are on that focused, right? It just allows you to be focused, and that you have basically a sandbox to ask questions and try things out with folks who either have already done it or are doing it alongside you. So those things have been really great. And then I think the third and last thing that's allowed me to be able to scale is a deep-seated belief in myself. And I think when I look at entrepreneurs who've been able to stand up amazing media companies and be service providers, are the faces behind. Look at Rihanna the other day, a couple of days ago, around the Super Bowl. And she was like, pay for ads. Ad for what? You're going to pay me, and I'm going to do product placement, and I'm going to have collaborations coming into that, and I'm going to make money while I saunter around with my 5-month belly. Like the idea that you could be so singular in the belief you have in yourself. All of the folks who I admire, who are entrepreneurs, who have really scaled their companies, to me, regardless of their how, that has been something that I have pulled as a common thread. And so I think that's the last thing I would say, that I'm not quite sure I really believed in my ability to be able to make it happen in this way. And so that meant I didn't invite in the right types of who's to help me do those things. And now I think I am.
So let's talk about one of the best compliments you've ever gotten. Maybe one of those things where you've had to, like, again, going back to you saying believing in yourself, what's something that people say about you where you're like, this, I've been told this and I need to believe it?
So I blush a lot at that. Compliments are hard for me. I have to say that. I'm very hard on myself. But one of the things that I have heard quite regularly is that I am singular in what I do, especially on stage, and that I have the ability to really transform people, not just in that moment, but when they walk away from an experience with me. And so that thing has been really, really great, right? And so that's been a compliment. The second thing I think I would say is when I started to really talk more about my faith, and also to really understand how other people are moving in the world, whether they have a person of my faith or they have a different energy center or different belief system, it really helped people to open up about the things that were hard. And so getting compliments like, or comments like, you changed my life, you made me think about things differently, I've taken this step and it's done this thing. Those things have been really, really helpful and really impactful for me. And so I really enjoyed that. And then I would think the last compliment that I receive is that I've raised a really good kid. And as my queenager is in her last year of high school and getting ready to go off to college, which will make me an empty nester, I had her when I was 26. I was a young mom. I was newly married. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I was divorced only 3 years later. And so I've been a single mom for pretty much her entire life. And so the fact that this is a good egg who is going out in the world, I think pretty prepared to do the damn thing. And that people, when they experience her as a good egg and are just happy to be around her. That is a very, very high compliment for me. So those would be my 3.
That's cool. I can't believe she's about to be out of the house.
I know.
Yeah. How are you with this?
Oh, I'm having a whole meltdown on the inside. I want you to know. I was going to set up base camp at her school. They do college reveal day on acceptance day now. So she's close to deciding, but you got to do the whole razzle dazzle. So talk about the shizzle we have to do. It has to be all of the sprinkle shizzle. Okay. It has to be the backdrop shizzle. Okay. The changing of the clothes. It's just a lot. It's a production. I was just happy to get a letter open. This chick is like, oh no, we got to do this whole thing. So I'm afraid, my title has been mom first for pretty much my whole adult life to this point. And I'm not sure what single and also like empty house Kishshana even looks like. I think I will probably throw myself into my work because work is my boyfriend and I like it there, which means that my, goal to have my own show and to step more firmly into the sort of the content, area and into media and stuff will probably happen faster. Because that's where I'll put my energy and my time. The rest of it, we'll see. I have no idea. I've been taking all the advice. So if you have a word from a friend or something you want to tell me to hold in my spirit, I will do it. But I have nothing. Okay. So if you see me crying just combustibly, like how the fake CEOs, they'll take the real CEO, but they do the fake tears when they cry and then take a selfie of it. Please tell me why people do that.
I don't know. People do this? Why do people do that?
I just want to apologize for the insensitive way in which I displayed my behavior as CEO. And you're like, bro, did you take a picture of yourself crying? Wow. Anyway, sidebar.
I just cry naturally all the time. I just cry a lot, it just comes sometimes.
But can you imagine then be like, let me stop and take a selfie of it?
No.
It's one of those fake transparent moments, probably.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I'm just ugly cry really randomly ugly crying. People think I have it all together. I'm like, you don't see all the ugly crying I do in my bathroom by myself, No. Okay, so I'm curious about a different project that you do. If let's spend the last few minutes talking about Rooted. You're still doing the Rooted Collaborative. Didn't you just recently have a retreat?
I did. I had it in September in Jamaica. It was fabulous. We had over 30 women who came in person for 4 days, 3 nights, and we had coaches and healers and just really good conversations, professional development on site in the middle of a damn hurricane. So that was hilarious. And people still pressed their way from different parts of the country and Canada to be able to come. So it was really great. Right now, I am doing what I would consider to be a reset because I'm thinking about where my larger company is going to be. I'm really working to make sure that the objective and the value that the Rooted Collaboratives have had in the community continues to grow with it. And so your girl is tired and I'm taking a break. So we were just talking about this as a team last week that we have to change our website to say, go on fishing. Because our next retreat's not going to be until 2024. It's going to be invite only. We're just changing our business model a little bit so that we can attract the kind of professionals who are looking for what we have to offer. And that is simply a well life and to be financially fit and to have the kind of personal and professional development that helps them to live whole and happy lives and careers. And I think that all of that is going to do really well. So I'll be hiring for a managing director to lead that work later in this year and hiring for Kishshana Co, which is super exciting, Taylor, because you blown the hell up. Okay.
That is exciting.
Yeah. So I'm following in your footsteps now because I tried to accordion out with a team before and I had to accordion back in. Oh my gosh. That was an experience. So I'm accordioning back out again and I'll be hiring, full-time consultants and trainers. Right now I have part-time folks who are amazing. But full-time folks to join our team so that we can serve more organizations and companies. I'll be reaching more into tech, into fintech and health tech, and into cannabis. We've had a couple of clients who have just been really right. I'm ready for the Wild Wild West. Okay. So that's what we're going to be doing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, similar to you, I just realized I like scale and couldn't scale myself. So how do you do it? So I just really, how do you do it? Well, part of how you do it is like, you have to invest in the people around you to be able to do that thing when you step away and you say, okay, I'm going to actually have the CEO hat on. And that is scary. So I appreciate that you shared that because it is. All right, one last question. For all those high achievers out there trying to find their identity and not burn out, what do you tell them? What's your secret to success? Because you're a high achiever. I mean, you're always in it's funny. You say, oh, I'm watching you. I'm like, I'm watching you. Like, we're both thinking the same thing. Like, how does she do it?
You're like, how does she do it? How does she do it? How does she do it?
How does she do it? I look at you all the time and think, how does she do it?
I would say first, one of the things that I think has been really crystallizing for me is that I stopped looking for purpose. And I started to think about purpose differently. And for me, my purpose are my values in action in this season of my life. And so the thing I needed to really get clear on were my values, not my purpose. And then how to action those values now. And so when you ask me what's next for me, you hear that the thread of the things I've been talking about for the last couple of years should feel similar and knitted together, but they should also feel like they have been growing because I am moving into a new season. And so I'm going to be doing that work, things I care and value about community, about your health, around equity, around having fun, around integrity, the things that are of value to me. I'm going to bring that work around transparency and authenticity into the next season of my life. And so I think for me, that helped to really ground me because then it was less about what I'm supposed to be doing right now and I didn't do enough and more about, wait a minute, what's my action plan for what I believe right now? And what things can I let go of because they don't sit in what I believe right now? And I think that was really healthy. That's thing one. Thing two, folks need to get themselves a wellness routine. And that includes your self-maintenance. And for some of us, that's get your hair cut, get your brows done. Okay. Head to the dentist or whatever it is you need to do so you can uphold your temple, right? Like your pathway to wellness starts with yourself. And if you are not taking care of your body and your mind, then you are shortcutting your path to wealth. And so for me, for high achievers, really getting a handle on what that means for them, I think is going to be really helpful. And one of my keys, Taylor, rest. And by rest, I mean sleep. Because my therapist keeps telling me that she just want me to relax. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, lady. But you know what I know how to do? Take these sleeping aids. And so whatever you need to do to get yourself to that state, for me, that's what I have to do every now and again. But figuring out what's in your cocktail. And then I think the last thing is really having some accountability anchors. And accountability to me is not a punitive thing. It's really saying, I see you and I believe so much in what you believe in for yourself that I'm going to make sure that you hold yourself to it. I got you. And that has been really helpful to both keep me on track, but also keep me really anchored when I feel like I am out at sea, untethered.
I love that. I love that you mentioned sleep. It's not just sitting down with a blanket and a book or a movie. No, like just conk the hell out.
Good night.
Good night. And
Good night.
sleep in late. I've been sleeping in late like a teenager on Saturdays lately. Like for a long time, I was like, it's Saturday. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get some stuff done before everybody else is awake. And now I'm just like, lately, I'm like, the kids are knocking on my door at like 11 a.m. And they're like, Mom, you alive?
Absolutely. I'll let you know when I try it. Because my version of that is I got up and went to Pilates at 7:30 on Saturday. And then I went and had a slow coffee. And I talked to the baristas in Starbucks because they know I go to two different ones. They know who I am. Okay. Hey, Kish, you got Chanel with you? That's my dog. Well, that's my dog. And then I saunter my way home if I don't have community. I do community service a few times a month. And so I'm not doing that. But the thing, y'all, is to nap. That nice nap in the middle of the day, just kind of on top of the covers with the blanket and the good rerun of the show that I love, My Slice of Heaven.
Whatever way you get it in best, whatever.
That's
you got to find chart your own sleep goals and just make sure you stick to it. No matter what time of day it is, do what works for you, but get the nap in.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Kishshana, this has been amazing. If people want to find out more, follow along, the best way to find you.
I am at Kishshana Palmer, KISHSHANA, Palmer, PALMER, across all social media. And you can visit my website, KishshanaPalmer.com. And I'd be super excited for you to join the K-Train. That's my monthly newsletter. And you'll get all the goodness and the goodness and the mercy that's coming out of the Kishshanaverse.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom as always and catching up. And thanks for the time that we talked in the elevator and like you were open to talking to me.
I'm always so grateful for that day.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good one. All right, folks. Well, you heard it from Kishshana herself. Take a nap. We'll see you next time on another episode of Talking Shizzle, where who knows what kind of shizzle we're going to talk about. We'll figure it out. Bye, guys. Well, hey there. That was fun. I love how much mind-blowing and mind-opening shizzle our guests bring to us with every episode. We hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player so that you don't miss a beat of the Talking Shizzle podcast. And if you're listening on Apple, be sure to let us know what you thought and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from our listeners so that we can bring you all the good, juicy business growth shizzle that you would like to hear about. Get in touch with us and follow along at creativeshizzle.com or email us at podcast@creativeshizzle.com. Until next time, keep making your shizzle happen.